So welcome everybody. We are really excited to have with us on this evening someone that you all know and likely love. Um, this is Melinda Thomsen. She's been writing book reviews since 2006 for journals such as Home Planet, Home Planet News, Big City Lit, Car River Poetry, and American Book Review. She also writes shorts on Amazon and Goodreads for friends. Armature, wonderful book, released in 2021 from Hermit Feathers Press, is her debut full-length poetry collection. A 2019 Lena Shull Poetry Contest honorable mention winner and finalist for the 2022 Eric Hoffer Da Vinci Eye Award. And
Right.
so we're just so excited to have her with us on this evening. We are sure she has a lot to share. She has a wealth of experience, and so we know that this is going to be wonderful. If at some point, Melinda, you want to drop your link to your book in the chat for those that don't have it yet and may desire. And without further ado, on behalf of the North Carolina Poetry Society, we would like to welcome Melinda Thomsen. Let's give her.
Oh, oh, thank you so much. I've got his old clock here, and it's gonna ring at 8 o'clock. So I'll try to mute myself before it comes in. But I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. And so the plan is I have a PowerPoint of like background information about doing book reviews, but I really this whole idea came to me because I have to limit myself to book reviews. I just try to limit my book reviews to 2 a year, because it takes me like 20 hours just to do one book review, because I want to do a good review. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about my process, but I know, I don't know if Jean Julian is coming tonight, but in the current issue of Main Street Rag, she reviewed Armature, and she's got a different oh, there it is. Karen's got it. She's showing that issue. So it just came out this week. But Jean Julian has a different process than I do. So I just wanted to go over my process, and then other people tonight. Once I go over like the overview of the book reviews, I want us to network a little bit. We'll do a couple of, just about 15-minute chats about book reviews. And I'm thrilled that Margaret Bauer of North Carolina Literary Review is here. And I'm thrilled that Luke Wisnett of Tar River Poetry is here. I mean, we got ECU in the house. And I think I'm just concerned that I can't really do more than 2 a year. And I just wanted to kind of, this whole evening is about spreading the love and understanding the connections and how you need to connect and kind of, work as a community. And so you'll hear that coming through on the talk this evening. So the first, so we'll do a little networking chat. And then the last part of this workshop will be looking at resources for finding journals that do book reviews, ways of finding people to review your book, different. And also I know Christy Williams just came out with a chapbook, Finding Her. And I don't really review chapbooks. Most of my books I review, all of my books I review are, oh yeah, Karen's got all the books here. So all the books I do are full-length books. I just wanted to make that clear, but I do have resources if you have a chapbook and how to connect with community for chapbooks too, because we still do chapbooks. I mean, we're all, even if we're doing full-length, but so I'm going to start to share my screen. And get into my PowerPoint. I'm kind of like, hold on one second. I made, so I've got this PowerPoint and I also have it saved as a PDF. I don't know if a PDF will go into the chat, Caren or Regina, but I can't really see, I have trouble reading chats and talking at the same time. So if something comes up, and we'll also do questions and answers at the end too. So so the title for the talk is Taking Our Vitamins, Why Book Reviewing is Good for Us, because I think, I don't know, I do book reviewing because it's good for me. I'm selfish in that respect. So and so first of all, I wanted to kind of, this is my whole thing of the evening, is reviewing books fosters this healthy bond between the poetry presses, the journals, and the writers. And I think, like, by reviewing books as poets, we learn about the publishing side of the industry we've got here, and what editors need to maintain their presses or their journals. And so that's sort of what I've learned, why you keep getting these requests to write book reviews. And I think that one reason why as poets we get asked to write reviews is because we've got these skill sets. We understand poetry better than a regular prose writer, right? So and so we've got these skill sets to really effectively write about poetry collections. And then, of course, reviews sell and promote presses books, which means they stay in business. So that's why we try to go out there and get a book review. When I first started writing, when my first book came out in 2007, it didn't even occur to me to get my book reviewed. It was with Finishing Line Press. It didn't even occur to me to do that. And one of the reasons, I guess, was it was a chapbook. And I just thought, oh, no, I have to get a full length. The chapbook is not enough. So, and so that's like the vitamin part is like the healthy part, taking vitamins to keep our community healthy. One thing I wanted to explain where I'm coming from also is that our poetry community is competitive. I mean, I do duotrope to keep track of my submissions. And I just like crack up when it says, congratulations, your acceptance rate is 5.2% higher than most writers submitting to these journals. And so I see my acceptance rate is 5.2%, okay? And it's higher than others. And I'm like, you're congratulating me on a 94.8% rejection rate. So, and so that, just knowing that makes me value those 5.2% journals that are publishing my work. And so I love them and I want to help them. I want to make sure that they stay around. So this workshop basically is to think about, for you all as poets, to consider reviewing books. And it's not only for the health of our poetry community, but your own writing career, because I know you all want your books reviewed. Okay. And so this workshop is just about, again, spreading the love, the reviewing love, so we all get our needs met, right? And then I've already sort of talked about what the plan is. And so I was like, okay, you ready for your vitamins, right? So I just kind of listed a few reasons why we avoid writing book reviews. Reviewing is free. And I did ask the editor over, Ross White over at Bull City Press, I was like, is there a way to get paid for reviewing? And he was like, No, not really, because it's a conflict of interest. It becomes a conflict of interest. If you're writing reviews to get paid, I mean, I see that, but I don't know if you're, I guess you get paid if you get a review in the New York Times, but it's also time consuming. Like I said, my book reviews take at least 20 hours to do. And then also the other thing is, I know I prefer writing poetry. I don't really like writing prose. So it's a different hat that we have to wear, and sometimes it doesn't fit our head. So we kind of like, how do I do this? But I do, as a poet, I know when I write my prose, I have to I call it shake it out. I condense way too much in my prose. So I have to shake it out and just make sure it's clear and critical and, concise going through. So we know that this reviewing is good for us, but there's so many other reasons too why we don't do it, right? So this is the main question: why should we review these books? And since we have this power when an editor asks us to review a book. Remember this power. We can choose books we want to read. We can decline those books. You don't have to review a book you don't like or you feel uncomfortable about. And I would say, don't do it. Okay. I did it for my first review, and it was really, and I found in that book before I read it that that the women in the book were treated very two-dimensionally. And I had a big problem with that. So I had to twist my brain into a pretzel to figure out how to really be truthful, but not be negative, because this poetry community is too small. So you don't want to review a book and say something negative. You just decline it. Okay. The other reason why we should review books is because we increase our chances of getting our own books reviewed, because this role as a reviewer has expanded our poetry network. Okay. There's people in my network that I've met through reviewing their books, or just getting out into the editing, getting to know more editors. And then the last thing that I found that's really helpful is that writing this kind of prose because we're analyzing another book of poetry, it makes us more critical editors of our own poems. Okay. I mean, still, sometimes we need, we obviously need other people to help see things that we kind of are blind to, but this has helped me a lot to look critically at my own work and figure out how things work together, if a poem is, moving in the right direction, or if I want to change it to fit a collection. So that's been helpful. So I want to talk about actually, I think I missed I missed one slide. Whoops. It's called a bit of background. Okay. So I think Regina read some of this. Okay. And I just like the second point. I do not write reviews for books that do not have a home. So if an editor asks me to write a review, I'll write a review for that journal, for that on request. But you still have to write a good review, because it can still be declined. Okay. American Book Review, you have to send them a good solid review, or they can send it back, or they can ask for major, revisions, but, and they can just reject it. They can say, no, we don't want this. So that is, I just wanted to get that in there. Okay. So this one, if somebody offers you a book to review, you need to read that collection through at least 2 times, at least, because you're reading through first just to see if you like it and how it's going. The second time you're going to read it through and look at the different poems. How are those different poems working? How do they speak to each other? And then you're going to start to identify the strengths in that book. And so it takes a fair amount of time to really analyze a book. So we usually just read a book and we don't really spend that much time analyzing it, poem by poem, and how is it working within the main context. But with book reviews, you do, because you want to have come up with your thesis about the book. And I also want you to always remember that this is a poetry review, not a movie review. So really accentuate the positive aspects of the book. But if you can't, if there's something there, you just refuse it. Let someone else take it. Someone else might be a better fit for it. So it's, and I do pass on some books that have are maybe too out there and I don't really get it. So I just pass on it, because otherwise you're spending a lot of time trying to understand, because you want to do a good job for this writer, so you want to, so these are some of the reviewing basics that you're going to be seeing. Your journal's editor is going to give you guidelines for how they want the books done. Okay, the book review done. So most of them are MLA or APA formatting, but don't freak if you haven't done an MLA or APA formatting in like 100 years. Just don't freak. The rules, and they do update these formats every few years too. So you might be like, what? That's not what I was taught. But that's okay. Just go, online. They've got these videos that are very easy, accessible, and clear. So, and also remember, your editor will help you tweak your review. So if your review is not absolutely perfect, the editor is going to read it and come back and say, I don't really understand this part, and just say, yes, thank you. Let me fix that up. Okay. So, so remember, your editor is your partner, your pal in this. When I did a review for my last review I did for Big City Lit, the editor came back and was like, I don't really understand this section. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't either. Let me fix it. So typical journal reviews are about 1,000 to 1,500 words. Okay. But you'll see, and you'll see it depends. So you just want to look at those guidelines and see, and then look at the other examples that the journals have for writing those reviews. Now you're going to go back into college writing, and you got a strong opening paragraph with a clear thesis. All right. And again, don't freak if you say thesis, but because like as poets, we love metaphors. I actually often use a metaphor for my thesis. It just helps to unify the collection, and it helps me to figure out how the collection is working. So one of the last books I reviewed was Susie Susquehanna and the River City Blues. And it's a collection of people, little poems about different people in the community. And I realized, oh, these are fringe people, right? So my thesis ended up being like on people on the fringe, but I used that rug metaphor with the fringe at the end to help unify the positive aspects of this book and why they're not in the middle of the rug, So, so that is something you could think about. And the other thing is, as you do your review, just make sure that your review is not only clearly written, but it's supported. So you can really, you can go into the poems and pull out those from those poems and support how that book is working. Okay. And so I also check out those reviews in Main Street Rag. They have shorter reviews, but they have a variety of people writing reviews in Main Street Rag. It's in that blue section, and I know I'm guilty. Sometimes I don't go to the blue section. I just go to the poetry and I read the poetry and I forget about the reviews. But the reviews, they have a lot of, and they review a bunch. So Caren's showing the blue pages in that collection. And they've got some good writers in there. So it's great to read those and see how they do it. This one is a review that I did, so we can look at a sample. This is for Chanel Brenner's Smile or Else. And she was the winner of the 2021 Press 53 Poetry Award contest. So yeah, when I first heard that title, I was like, what a great title, right? And so when I read the book, I was like, man, this is amazing. So this is my sample review from Tar River Poetry from last spring. And so I just wanted you to see the outline of this. Okay, they've got the review section, and then this reviews, often they have a title that you give your review. Okay, because your review will have a thesis. So then you can use, title your review. You don't have to title it the name of the book, but other journals do the name of the book, right? So, but this, they put at Tar River Poetry, they put the name of the author, the title of the book, and the publisher all at the top underneath the title of the review. So, and you can see how this is just one page of it, but I'm going to read you the first paragraph. And then since Luke is here, I'll let him make comments too. But Luke has helped me a lot with my book reviews. So, so this is the first paragraph, and this is why I want you to think about the thesis and this is like old school introductory paragraph. In Smile or Else, winner of the 2021 Press 53 Poetry Award, Chanel Brenner gives a masterclass in organizing a poetry collection of stunning pieces that portrays the grief a family experiences after the death of their child, Riley. Brenner's gritty, honest poems depict her family's loss from different angles, letting the reader observe how the child's death affects the whole family. Her poems contemplate not only the initial stages of grieving, but also paths through it. This beautiful collection whispers, "You are not alone," by offering encouragement as we travel our own difficult journals. Okay, so this is how I get myself into a review. Okay, and my process is different than other people's. As you start to read more reviews, you'll see the different processes happening. So I read the book several times to understand the arc of the collection. Okay, I want to find the heart of it. Because that's something I'd like the readers to know. And then I select at least 3 example poems to discuss in depth. And I do make sure that I choose like 3 different types of poems, but so I can show different aspects of the poet's like writing style and how the content is developed throughout the book. And so in Chanel Brenner's book, I kept identifying with that passage through grief. She was, and so that's why I kind of went to that. I also, she also showed the husband's grieving, the brother's grieving, and then she had metaphors like the teeth, broken teeth that kept coming through. So you'll start to, as you read through these books, you start to see like metaphors reverberating through the book. So there's these different strands, and so I do try to find that. I try to pull them out and see what those strands are how those strands are working. Jean Julian, I think I would say that she does it sort of opposite than me, or it seems like she pulls out the strands and then comes to the organization of the book. And I was like so impressed with her review of my book. I was just like, she really gets me. She gets me better than I get myself, you know? And I think once you find somebody to review your book, you're like, oh my gosh, they know me better than I know myself, because they're seeing these things, you know? And that's one of the things that's so exciting about this, you know, because Jean's was the first full review of a book I'd ever had. You know, I'd gotten blurbs, but she was the first to do a full review. So, and I see Barry Wallenstein is here. So he's the editor from American Book Review. Yes, and my former professor.
Hi.
So yay. So I just wanted to throw this out before we, get to the chatty part of the workshop. The idea is, should I review a book without an editor's request? And I always prefer to respond to editor's requests because the writing of a review is free work, and I want it to eventually be published. So even though it's not guaranteed that the journal will publish it, especially if it's not a great review, but there's journals like Whale Road Review, and that's an amazing journal if you're not familiar with it. And they accept unsolicited reviews. And at the end of the evening, I'll have a list of places that, you can also, I would say, if you're going to start reviewing, I would join Twitter. Twitter is it's got a really strong poetry community, with a lot of the journals are on Twitter and they're very active. So if you do write a book review and you want somebody to take it, you can search there for journals that do unsolicited reviews. And then Goodreads is also, I would just, whenever if you have a few minutes, just do a Goodread review for your friends and stuff. It's a nice, because so many readers go on there, so you do get, it's nice to have a good review there. For Armature, I've got Armature on there, and then I just pasted the blurbs on the Goodreads because I was like, oh, I don't have a review, but I can just paste my own blurbs. And so I did that. But and then, okay, and since I said the B word, I'm gonna just go a little blurb side note here. I know a lot of people say they don't, I'm sorry, there's a typo there. I just was like, oh, they don't read, it shouldn't be paid. They don't read blurbs, but as a reviewer, I read the blurbs. And if I see a gushing blurb, I find it's suspect. There's something, and I kind of worry about that. And this little blurb I've adapted from a blurb I actually read. So I took out the names to save the guilty. Okay, here. So Melinda Thomsen is one of the most original voices of her generation. I love every poem she writes. Armature is an outstanding debut collection. Jane Poet Doe, author of Poems and Poems. So that is a gushing. I have, it's out there. You do see blurbs that are just like, whoa, this person sounds like, just an amazing writer. And then you open the book and it's like, uh-oh. So a good blurb, I would just think of a good blurb as like a good review. You want it to be specific and insightful, and with the goal to convince the reader to buy the book. So this is a real blurb from Armature. I can identify the mundane, not miracles, she writes, but the miraculous, as Thomsen demonstrates, resides in the quiet, ordinary moments of our lives, by Kate Featherston. So that's, yeah, so you see the good blurb is something that you, oh, okay. This sounds like a thoughtful blurb from a thoughtful person. So the author must know thoughtful people. Maybe I'll check out the author's work, right? So, so what I would like to do, I see we got about 12 people here. I would like you to think, I want to give you some time to network. We've got, looks like we got 3 editors in the room. So I thought I might make, I'll make breakout rooms and with an editor in each room. So poets can ask the editor, you can do some networking. And so these are just some guiding questions. Why do you or don't you write book reviews? Okay. How often do you read book reviews and why? When you have a book published, why would you want it reviewed? Okay. And what journal would you like to review your book? Okay. So I'm going to stop my screen share a second. I stopped my share. Okay. But so I'm going to put, I hope this is okay. So just 15 minutes. And I know, and you're not bound to those guiding questions. I know a lot of times people go on the network and into a chat room and they just talk about anything. So, and so it's, that is fine. And okay. Oh, wow, this is perfect. Every breakout room has an editor. I don't even have to play around with this, right? So, all right, so I will. Okay. Okay, so when you might hear the breakout room stop, but if you finish your chat and you want to come back to the main room, you can come back to the main room. Okay. And all right, I think
will you also pull us back in when you're ready to continue?
Oh yeah, you'll be
Get carried away.
Back in. Yes. You'll be just dumped back in and all right. And I think let's see. I think Regina, you and I can kind of float around in the breakout rooms. Okay, if we want. Okay, Caren too. I think Karen's in room number 1. Okay. All righty, guys. I will be floating in and out, okay? Okay. And you should see a dot, a button, if you haven't done this before. Okay, Regina, I think it's just you and me now. I can't hear you. There you are.
Yeah, okay. I will go in room 1.
Okay. All right, I will join
We're the only ones here.
Well, right.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We can gossip.
We're in good company.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what was making his what that reverb was. Maybe it's
I don't
or something he's using. Maybe.
I don't know. I thought it was Celestine, you're muted. I thought it was you, Celestine. I'm sorry. I sent her a secret message and said, Celestine, you're echoing.
Usually you get that when you have two devices on at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So maybe he had it open on his phone or something.
Yeah.
That was so nice for him to come. I'm excited. I had no idea. So it sounds like if you want to do a review, then you would just reach out and say, hey, I'm Caren. This is who I am. And then they pick something to ask you to review, right? You don't just say, hey, I just read this really great book by Christy. Can I review it?
They choose what they want you, what they need.
They want you to review it.
That's what he was saying.
And it's probably something hot off the press.
Yeah. I think it'd be a lot. I mean, I love doing critiques. I love doing the volunteering and doing the critiques for the Poetry Society. I think I would love doing the book critiques maybe, but I don't feel qualified. I don't know. I feel like I should have some big.
No, what it is
like
you're a reader, you're a critical reader, you're honest person, and
he did make it sound like that was okay if you don't have a bunch of.
Well, I thought he said, but didn't he say in the beginning he wanted someone to be associated with the university? Did he say that?
For one of them, I can't remember.
One of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're really good at
Choice,
doing.
I think it was Choice magazine. It was for Choice. Yeah.
Choice.
Okay. I mean, I guess you just reach out to who you'd want to do it for and see what your reception is, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did everybody do? Did you get some, Margaret, did you get some people to review books for you?
I think I got one right away, and I think Christy's willing to do it later when she's not already doing some editing. That's where she was as we were being sucked away into this book.
I know, I can never figure out
It's
how
in the
to
warning.
find these things. Yeah.
No, it's in the warning. It's fine. So I made some notes. Yeah, I'll tell everybody, we're always looking for reviewers. So please feel free to reach out to me and we'll connect you to a book or two.
Same here at Tar River Poetry. I was just saying in the breakout room, I never hurt for poems. I get plenty of poems, more than I can read. But I'm always looking for reviewers. So if you're interested in reviewing, you can get in touch through Melinda.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing that came up that Luke mentioned was, you can get a title. You can you might get a contributing editor. I got advisory editor for Tar River, but I was also going through the slush, the slush pile at Tar River too. But you can get it, and it's a good thing to have on your resume, as a contributing editor, but you can get, and Margaret, and also you get a free subscription to, Margaret's got some good news to share about North Carolina.
I'm not above bribery, so I said that I would offer since this is sponsored by North Carolina Poetry Society, anybody from this group, and I wrote everybody's name down, I hope you don't mind, who reviews for us in the next round or so, I'll send you a free copy of the 2016 issue, which includes an interview with Jackie Shelton Green, as well as lots of other good stuff. That was our 25th issue. And it really talks about the community of writers here in North Carolina throughout the issue. So it's got some great stuff. So so if you and all you have to do is reach out to me and I'll connect you to Megan Smith, who's handling our book reviews this year and matching people to books. We have a long list, and we review all genres and in North Carolina related. In fact, we've got a review of Luke's book coming up in the winter issue.
You.
Yeah, we do.
I hope it's a good one.
It was a good one. It is a good one.
Good.
And so yeah, we're always with poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, books about literary focuses. So
I don't know though why you would review for NCLR when you could review for Tar River Poetry, because
Oh, the competition.
send you a free issue of NCLR, but I'll pay you $10,000.
I don't know.
that-
A magazine,
I wanna see the
$10,000.
check.
A magazine, $10,000. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of concerned now. I don't know how close Margaret's office is to Luke's office over at ECU, whether you,
separate buildings, it's fine.
okay.
We actually, as I was explaining in our breakout room, we actually don't compete because Margaret has a very specific focus, which is North Carolina writers. And as I was saying in the breakout room, I do not want Tar River Poetry to be seen as a regional journal at all. It's a national journal. So I sort of even have a bias against North Carolina writers. I'll publish them, and I do, but I would prefer to see people from outside the state. So we don't really compete. And she's a big operation, and I'm just a little small journal. That's true.
Are there any other comments?
I'll fight you for book reviewers though, because you're right. It's very hard to get people to
It's hard to
review.
get viewers. Yeah. So I always welcome reviews. Anybody that ever queries me for reviews, I'm like, yes, bring it on. I'd love to see it.
I just wanted to make sure, because we're being recorded now, you were not recorded in the breakout rooms. So if there's anything you want to comment about your breakout room, what happened there that you'd want recorded for your friends that couldn't make it tonight?
Well, I'll just repeat what I said about the criteria for the reviews in Tar River Poetry, which is there are basically two things that I look for. One is intelligibility. I do not want a review that's full of jargon, that's full of literary theory, because not to disparage those things at all, but this journal
It's okay. You're among friends.
I know. And I know we have a similar views about this, but this is a journal that's for a general readership. It's an educated, intelligent readership, but it's not people who spent their lives in the academy and studied deconstruction and semiotics and all that stuff. We don't need that kind of jargon in our reviews. And the other thing is that I like the review to give a real flavor of the poetry. So there should be plenty of quotations from the poems, and very often a quote, the entire one particular exemplary poem quoted in its entirety. I like to see that in those reviews. So, and I'm sure Margaret has some criteria she'd like to pass on.
So how long are your reviews for your Tar River?
Usually between around 2,000 to 3,000 words. We can go a little bit shorter, and we sometimes go longer depending on the book itself. So.
No, that I liked Melinda's point about taking about 3 poems. For example, if you're doing a collection of poetry and really analyzing them. We don't require a whole poem quoted, though we don't have a problem with that. Some reviewers, that's part of their style. I feel like Jim Clark does that in most of his reviews. Catherine Carter may as well, I can't remember. So that's not, a requirement, but it's possible. And our reviews are typically 1,000 words per book reviewed. We like review essays that pull together a couple of books that really work well together. And also because we're really trying to, North Carolina is such a prolific state, and we're really trying to review as many of the books as we can. So about 1,000 words per book, but because the reviews are published in the online issues, they get a broader audience that way, because our subscription base is not as high as our online issues are open access, and writers can then link to them from their websites, etc. We don't hold you to that limit, although we don't want them shorter, really, because we really want a substantive book review. So we prefer not to have them shorter than 1,000 words per book. Trying to think, and yes, the writer has to have a North Carolina connection, and preferably a North Carolina focus of the book. But with poetry, that doesn't, matter as much. There's just so many that, we may not, if the book is set in Iowa and it's a novel or something, and the writer only has a very small connection to North Carolina, we might put that further down the list, or we might try, but if we don't get an immediate response, we're not going to push. While we're really going to try to get the North Carolina writers and their subjects reviewed. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Melinda, you're right. As far as I was telling my group, my line is, if it's not worth your time or our space, don't review it. If someone went to the trouble and wrote a negative review, I'd publish it because I'd feel like, that's a lot of time they put into it. So I really emphasize, if it's not worth that time, then what's the point? I don't write about works that I don't like. I pick the works I love to write about. So you too. And in that way, if someone took the time to do that, we'll still we pay with a subscription essentially, and we'll still include that for your time and trouble. And we'll ask you if we can send you something else.
I agree about the negative reviews, and I always think of something that Donald Barthelme said in a review or in an interview. He says something like, the proper response to a bad work of art is to surround it with silence. So yeah, I'm not a fan of negative reviews. Like Margaret says, there's so much work in the world that you can love and try to get a wider audience for. So I'm a big fan of positive reviews.
By the way, that kind of reminds me too of, if you don't love the review of your book, don't tell the editor. It's not our fault. And it just pisses me off because there's nothing I can do about it. Just sorry. And this usually happens when it's one line. I have gone digging into book reviews because an author has emailed and said something about it. And I'm thinking, I don't really remember a negative review. And I'll go and I'll reread and I'll look, and I have to find, and there's usually one sentence or two sentences and that just piss the author off. And I'm thinking, really? Because, next time your next book comes before me, are you really worth the trouble?
That is a great point. I mean, it gets back to like those 5.2 acceptances that we get in poetry world, It's just like, why are you going to piss off people that are so few?
Conversely, a couple of the very nicest thank you notes I've ever gotten in my life have been from people whose books I reviewed, people I didn't know. And one of them, Peter Everwine, whom I had not even read before I read his book that I reviewed, was saying in the breakout room, I've sometimes desperately just pulled a book off the shelf at random, looked at it and thought, I can review this. Who's this author again? Because I need a review that badly, so I'll write it. But he wrote a wonderful thank you letter to me saying that I had understood his work better than anybody that had ever reviewed it, and I treasure that note from somebody I don't even know. So that's, we don't get paid for doing these reviews typically, not in money, but there are some other compensations that are really valuable, I think. So.
Yeah. It's great to get a letter like that. Susanna Case, that the book I reviewed for you, Luke, about, it's about blue, and she's got that very pronounced I on the cover of her book. With the eyeshadow and everything. She said the same thing, and it just made me feel so good that, and then you have then people will start saying, oh, I want Melinda to review my book, right? Because she got, and I want to review it again. So you have to, if you're good at it, you get, people want you to review because you understand it. Yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't reviewed books in the past because I have read books that I've liked a lot. And never thought about reviewing them, and I would wish I had, because people should be reading them. I want other people to read those books. So I'm going to think about that. When I read a book I like, I should review it so other people can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody ever contacts me, Margaret might have this same situation here, to ask if they would like to review, if I would like to see a review of theirs, and I don't know them. I have a packet of reviews, like PDFs of 3 or 4 reviews, and I say, these are some good examples of the kind of reviews that we publish. So you can read it and see if this is the sort of thing that you write or that you'd be comfortable writing. So you can find, even if the journal doesn't, with Margaret's journal, you can see all those reviews online on their website. But you can also ask the editor to send you some PDFs of the reviews, and you can get a feel of what kind of review the journal is interested in.
So what I'll do, if there's no more feedback from the breakout rooms, I'm going to show you some resources, different resources that I've gathered for both sides of the table, the editor's side, the poet's side. So I knew that we'd get some folks from out of town like Nancy up in Vermont, but I wanted to go, since it's North Carolina Poetry Society, I found this list of book review opportunities. And so you got the Raleigh Review, you got Luke, you got Margaret, Main Street Rag, Press 53, Kevin. I invited Kevin Watson for tonight, but he has, go to journals and see, and then maybe, you can make a connection with Luke or with Margaret or Barry Wallenstein up in New York. These folks, they'll take, you can, ask them if you can review one of these books. And that's how Chanel's book got into Tar River Poetry. Because I decided I just wanted to first of all, I wanted to read her book because it won the contest, so I wanted to see what kind of book it was, and then I really loved it. So then these are some journals that are outside of New York, North Carolina, and this Authors Publish has a whole list, and we can I can at the end I don't, Regina, or Caren, can we give people the link to this PowerPoint in the chat? Because they've got it's on Google, I made it, and these links on the PowerPoint are live, but the PDF that I have are not live. But New York City, Big City Lit, I know Christy Williams got a poem in there, but they do publish book reviews, they do prose, and they do full length. They might do chapbooks. The other Main Street Rag does chapbooks, because I saw Kate Ferris's book in Main Street Rag, this issue of Main Street Rag. Whale Road Review does they do book reviews, and they also do pedagogy. So if you're teaching writing and you want to check out their website, that's a very it's a competitive journal, and I think the editor's name is Kate Manning, but they've got pedagogy reviews too, not reviews, but articles there too. So it's a pretty cool journal. That was Whale Road Review is what I found through Twitter. And so I know we've got I know a lot of it, most of us are from Facebook, but the Twitter is going to open you up to the rest of the country. It'll really open you up to what's going on the poetry side, the journals, and who are the big hoo-has. winning the awards and getting published in all these great journals. This is chapbooks. Okay, so the Poetry Cafe Online has is a chapbook place. There's also the chapbook podcast, and I've got a chapbook that I'm shopping around right now, so I keep looking for these chapbook things and see what's going on. But this, if you are into chapbooks, the Bull City Press the chapbook, that's cool, a cool podcast. And then the chapbook review, it has a list of places that review chapbooks. So you can kind of, you know, so you can find places to review. See if you have a chapbook. I know, oh, I'm trying to get my little sideboard going here. So, oops, sorry. Yeah, so if you guys have chapbooks that just came out recently, Finding Claire, right? It's a chapbook. So, so Joan, you got so this might be helpful. So, and here is a list of reviewers, okay? Reagan could not come tonight, but I found her on Twitter. And so she's been promoting this, this book reviewer workshop over on Twitter. But she's got a whole list of people that review books. I'm on that list. But again, I think sometimes you'll see some reviewers there and you think, oh, I want this person to review my book. But you get a lot of requests there. And so you kind of just have to, when you go to ask people if they review your book, tell them exactly what it is. Tell them it's a chapbook or a full length, and you know, so they know. So this, yeah, there's my other piece of advice. Follow Poetry Twitter. That's where you get in and hear all the current poetry folks. The other thing is, you know, go to all those book conferences and chat with the editors, go to the tables, chat with them, take a look at their books, keep up with your graduate school professors. I mean, I certainly never thought I would still be in contact with Barry Wallenstein all these years later. I mean, it's almost 20 years, but we've kept as friends and we, you know, support each other. And then just, you know, see if you can review books for the journals and presses you admire. You know, if you like the books from Press 53, go down there and say, Kevin, can I review a book for you? Or what I would do is I would see if you can review for somebody and then go look for a book to review. Okay. And then this is some review opportunities. So Barry gave me, he's got a book for American Book Review that needs reviewing. And it's, he says it's a Holocaust revenge fantasy called The Vanishing by David Slater. And so if you are interested in maybe, whoops, Caren, are you able to copy and paste Barry's? Because I think he had to leave, but if you can in the chat.
I will. I've pasted the other thing, so I'll grab this and paste it there as well. So you'll see all of the links that Melinda went through in the chat. So certainly you can save the chat, and I will add this information on this slide as well to the chat.
Awesome, awesome. The other thing that Barry told me about, whoops, is choice and publisher weeklies. Okay, they only consider reviews from academics, and why they're so important is that this is what the libraries use to buy their books. All right, I had no idea about this. but Barry has been reviewing books for choice. Okay. And no review is more than 200 words. Okay, but they only want university people to review for them. So it's kind of a good thing. Barry said he's been doing this for years, you know, for many, many years. And then you can apply. So if you are connected with a university, or, you know, Pitt Community College, if you're at ECU or Pitt Community College, you can certainly apply to do this. Okay. And then now that we know, you can contact me if you have a book that you want to review for them. I mean, my book was a year ago, so I kind of missed the boat, but maybe Joan, you want to contact Barry and get it so you can get it into the library, so you don't have to donate your books to the library. But so these are two opportunities. And then you've got Margaret Bauer, North Carolina Literary Review, and Luke. So, and so if I don't know, we've got about 10 more minutes if anybody wants to ask any more questions or.
I just want to make sure everybody knows how to save the chat with all of that information.
No,
Does everybody know how to save the chat?
no, I don't.
Who said that? Okay.
Nancy.
Okay. So Nancy, if you go down to the bottom of the chat, actually down at the bottom where you see type message here, if you look over to the right, you'll see a little piece of paper and a smiley face and 3 dots.
Yeah.
Click the 3 dots.
And
And
says
then you
save
see save
chat.
chat. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. That's shaved.
Good
Thank
deal.
you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, I guess that we've come to the end of our program.
We like the
Melinda,
go ahead.
this has been lovely, Melinda. It's just great. Your information was fabulous. And thank you for getting these great publishing people here to talk to us. And this has been wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to have editors here.
I know, it was really cool.
The plug,
Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's part of creating your community, you know. I mean, I met Margaret when I was a finalist for the Applewhite contest. So, you know, and Luke, I just thought, oh, Tar River Poetry's in Greenville. I'll send him all my Greenville poems. And then, so, yeah, it's just like you know, because sometimes I do see people that are not trying to create community with the publishers and the journals. They're just kind of doing their poetry thing, and they're kind of so, but it's so important, you know.
It had never occurred to me to even think about doing reviews. It was just like not on my radar at all, but this is just makes so much sense.
Well, that's why I'm here. When I saw that she was doing it, I said, I need to go to that and tell people how much we need them.
I had no idea. I love reading reviews. I guess I just thought they happened by magic somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I had no idea there was such a need.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think probably the average person or reader or even people who do write, I think they probably think that reviewers are people who are trained to review. You know, like that's
Yes.
yeah, that's the objective. But
Yeah.
yeah, so this was enlightening, and we appreciate your coming here and sharing this with us. You are the second person in our second presenter for our North Carolina Poetry Society Presents in CPS Presents, and we're just really delighted that you are you're in this inaugural group of presenters in the fall of 2022. And so, yeah, really good. And so this will be, this is recorded and it will be also shared on the North Carolina Poetry Society page. And then of course you can share it to your page. And if any of you in the spring of 2023 have any thoughts about perhaps doing a presentation to enlighten our viewership, we certainly appreciate that. It doesn't have to be virtual, but certainly we are accepting of that. But if you want to do something in your community and you want us to promote it for you, certainly we're open to that as well. Our president, President Davis, if you would want to say anything, any closing remarks?
I'm just very happy that I was able to stay up tonight to participate in it.
Right.
I learned something really
Yeah.
fabulous. I didn't really know what to expect. I know that Melinda always, is very thorough and does a great job at whatever she does. So I figured it was going to be something substantial, and I was not disappointed. And I'm so glad to see Dr. Bauer and all my ECU people too. Yeah, I'm so glad to see you guys here. I was just grinning so hard, could you tell? So, so it's like, oh, I could write a review, but I think that all of you guys have a specific point of view and a specific audience and specific things that it's, that I think is something for, really to try your hand in. A lot of things you were saying is same things I tell my students in their writing. So I just thank you so much for coming. It's really important to me. It really means a lot. So, and thank you so much, Melinda. Thank you so much, Regina, for you guys.
Thank you, Melinda.
Yeah, well, yeah, just remember, spread the reviewing love, right?
Yes.
Yes. And if you guys want to write a craft tip for our Pine Whispers about writing reviews, you are welcome.
Oh,
And that will probably get you some more reviewers.
Don't forget to submit your poems to us as well. We want your reviews. We also want your poems.
Reviews and your poems, yes.
And Celestine, thank you. I don't know if everyone here knows, but North Carolina Poetry Society is now sponsoring the Jackie Shelton Green Performance Poetry Prize that will be running in the spring as well to add to our contest. And that's all thanks to Celestine's hard work this summer developing.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to spread the word about that as well.
I'd also like to give a big thank you, shout out to Caren Stuart over there. Well, she's down. I'm looking. Yeah, for having my back in co-hosting duties. She's always on time. I appreciate it.
Always got somebody's back.
Yeah, yes.
absolutely.
All right. If all hearts and minds are clear, we shall prepare to dismiss.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
This
you
was
all.
fabulous.
Thank you, everybody,
Thank
for coming.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Melinda.
Bye. Thank you.
Get out and vote.
Oh gosh.
Yes, thank you
done.
for that,
Already
Luke.
done.
Yes, yes.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.